Do you remember how Jeremiah suffered? He lost his friends, he lost his home, and even lost his freedom. All he wanted to do was good, but all he got was pain. After losing everything, Jeremiah cries out, "I am the one who has seen affliction by the rod of the Lord's wrath. He has driven me away, and he has made me walk in darkness rather than light. Indeed, he has turned his hand against me again and again, all day long." What this means is that Jeremiah blames God for all of his suffering. What's going on? How can we really live in a world in which God, who is defined by love, is the one causing us pain? Is this really what life is supposed to be like? Are we really living in the best of all possible worlds? Jeremiah wasn't the first to feel such anger against God. A long time ago, in the distant land of Uz, there lived a man named Job. Job was as perfect as a person could be. He had a beautiful wife and 10 children. Besides all of that, Job was filthy rich. With all of the good things in Job's life, he constantly praised God. He had nothing that he kept from God. But then things turned tragic. Satan approached God, and he said that Job is only faithful because God has given him so many good things. So Satan said, "Take it all away, and Job will curse you." Well, God took that challenge, and Satan began to work against Job. One day, a servant ran to Job and told him that all of his oxen and donkeys were stolen. Then another servant arrived and told him that fire fell from heaven and destroyed all of his sheep. And then a third servant arrived, and he told him that all of his camels were stolen by enemies. And then a fourth servant arrived and told Job that a mighty wind hit the house, and it collapsed and killed all 10 of his children. Upon hearing this, Job fell to the ground and said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." Well, this did not make Satan happy. He told God that Job might still be faithful now, but if he suffered in his body, then he would surely curse God. So Satan went to Job and inflicted him with painful sores all over his body. And so Job's wife came to him, and he gave him advice that would probably sound good to most of us in Job's situation. She said, "Curse God and die." But Job refused to turn against God, even though his suffering was so bad. And then Job's 3 friends came. The first to talk to him was Eliphaz. He tells Job that he is suffering because God is correcting him for a sin that he committed. And then Job's second friend, Bildad, speaks to Job and tells him that he is suffering because of all the sins of his ancestors who came before. Zophar then comes and tells Job that it doesn't make sense for the righteous to suffer, and therefore the only explanation is that Job must be wicked. But Job doesn't believe a word of it. He knows that he has been faithful to God. He has not done anything worthy of receiving the pain that he is in. However, the friends did convince Job of one thing. This is all God's fault. Job was angry at God for being unjust, and he cannot respect a God who has created so much pain. And yet, in the midst of Job's pain and confusion, he cries out to God, saying, "I know that my Redeemer lives, and that in the end he will stand on the earth. And after my skin has been destroyed, yet in my flesh I will see God." It's amazing. Job is still able to believe that God will make things right. But what about right now? How do we answer the question, what is going on? Why would a good God allow such horrible suffering to happen? And then this story really gets interesting. God answers Job, and he answers with a bunch of questions. Do you know how the earth was created? Do you know where all the water of the oceans came from? Do you know where the rain and the snow come from? Explain how the sun and the moon work. Do you know all the deep secrets of the earth and the sea? Tell me how lightning is formed. Teach me all about the constellations. Can you control the weather and predict earthquakes? Do you feed the birds and control the wild beasts? Do you presume to tell me what I'm doing wrong? The reason for all of these questions is to challenge Job. Does he really think that he can come up with a world that is superior to God's creation? See, if we can't understand the basic functions, how can we begin to understand God's reasons for anything? So let me challenge you with this thought. Can you think of a better way to run the world? Can you confidently say that eliminating pain and death and disease would make this world a better place? Well, it is clear that this world is not the best of all possible worlds. But God is teaching us that this world is on a path to become the best of all possible worlds. God knows that we may have to suffer, but in the end, we will find paradise. If you think that God is unfair in making us suffer, try to explain that to Jesus.